Just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if they're sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 109. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benezowitz. The New York Knicks crumble late versus the Atlanta Hawks. We'll talk about the Nets. There's a lot to get to there. They right now are secured as the 8th seed, and a lot of drama. The same stuff that's going around and swirling around with them. But we will begin with the New York Knicks tonight because they have a late lead versus the Atlanta Hawks. They crumble late. Trae Young goes nuts, scores 45. The Knicks had no answers for him, and the Knicks now 6 games back with 9 or 10 to play, and their playoff chances are pretty much done. The Hawks, meanwhile, get a big win, and as a Net fan, disappointed because I needed it to lose, so I was legit rooting for the Knicks for the first time all season.
But do you really need Atlanta to lose? Did you really need Atlanta to lose? Because if Atlanta wins, it pushes the Knicks away and the Wizards away, and then you're all in that play-in tournament. So really, did you really need the Hawks to lose?
Based on a standpoint of the playoffs, like let's pretend the Knicks are a different team. Let's pretend they're the Pacers. And yeah, I rather the Knicks fight to get 10 than the Nets have to, if they go on a losing streak, fall back. Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense to me. I would want to be secured in the play-in tournament than be like fighting for my life in the play-in tournament.
Right.
Have another team involved. Because if all you guys are in the play-in tournament, you clinch, you're in the play-in tournament. And Durant's going to get you one in the play-in tournament by himself. So yeah, I don't know what you're worried about.
I'm not worried, but I'll explain it again. The Hawks.
You're rooting for the Hawks, so you're worried. That means you're worried.
I was rooting for the Knicks. The Hawks are the 10 seed.
I know. So that's what I mean. You're rooting for the Hawks to lose, is what I meant to say.
Yes, because right now the Hawks are 2 back of the Nets. Okay, if they lost, it would have been more games. That's the answer. Like this is not.
I get it. But you should be worried about just getting in the play-in tournament, not worried about where your seeding is in the play-in tournament.
They
you know
need
what I mean?
to win.
Like that's all you should be.
If you're
the 8th seed,
if you're 2 games up on a team, and the team is playing a team that's 5 back, you're rooting for the team that's 5 back. This is not a Knicks thing. This is math, right? The Knicks
just doesn't make sense. No,
Hawks.
You just don't make any sense because you're rooting for the Hawks to lose so you can gain seeding on the Hawks. Meanwhile, if the Knicks win and they develop a winning streak, like let's say they're not the Knicks and they're another team that actually could go on a winning streak, Alex, you would be less inclined to want the Knicks to be in the mix because if there's another team in the mix, you would want to just be clinched in the play-in tournament and take your chances with Durant, who will get you one in the play-in tournament by himself. I don't know.
I know you're in a bad mood because you lost again.
I'm not in a bad mood. I'm not in a bad mood.
I will say
I'm in a bad mood about what we talked about before the podcast.
And if I get a DM from another Knicks fan saying I don't agree with Alex, but I like your points, Mike, you can just tell Alex yourself. Okay.
I don't care.
I don't need
people
that.
disagree with me. I don't care what people disagree with me.
If you are 2 back of the Nets, if you're 2 back of the Nets, I'm rooting for the team that's closer. So I was rooting for the Knicks tonight because I need the Hawks to lose. Now you want to make fun of the Nets because they've underachieved. They're not playing.
Nobody's making fun of the Nets. Why are you so insecure? Nobody's making fun of the Nets here.
Totally agree. But
I'm talking about you want to make the play-in tournament, right? Do you want to make the play-in tournament?
I want to do more than the play-in.
Do you want to make the play? Do you want to make the playoffs?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Okay. So if the Knicks win games and get closer to the play-in tournament, does that lessen your chances of making the play-in tournament?
I don't think.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no?
It's a really stupid question.
But does it? It's not a stupid question.
No,
because if there's more teams going to the play-in tournament, then you have less of a chance to make the play-in tournament. I don't know what you don't understand.
If the Knicks are 5, the Knicks are 7 back. The Hawks are 2 back. I'm going to root for the team that's 7 back. That's my, like, for example, if the Jets were playing the Bills,
make any sense.
And the Jets were 9-1.
Okay. Whatever.
Alex, it makes listen, everybody.
Doesn't.
I was rooting for the Knicks tonight because the Hawks are closer. This is not how does this not make sense? Seriously.
because if the Knicks get into the play-in tournament, let's say there's a world where the Knicks go on a winning streak and win out, then guess what?
But the Knicks,
you have a chance to not make the play-in tournament.
The Knicks aren't good, Alex. The Knicks aren't.
I didn't say they were. I didn't say they were. You're the one who started this whole conversation. Saying, what if the Knicks are the Pacers?
I fear
what are you
the
talking
Hawks,
about right now?
I fear the Hawks playing the Nets way more than the Knicks.
You're being an ass. You're just trying to be an ass.
No.
You're just trying to be an ass. That's what you're doing.
I'm promising you, I'm not being an ass. The Knicks are 7 back.
Yes, you are.
The Hawks are 2 back. I'm rooting for the Hawks to lose.
You keep saying the same thing over and over as if that's changing my mind. I understand what you're saying.
This is logic. This is not a Knicks.
Exactly. This is my logic. My logic is you want less teams involved in 4 positions. If you have 5 teams going for 4 positions, you have a chance not to be one of the 4.
But
if you have, oh my God.
I'm actually astonished right now that you think this is a discussion.
I'm just astonished that you think the Nets are like this powerhouse team that's going to just steamroll everything and not have to worry about other teams coming in for the play-in tournament when you're the 8th seed and Kyrie's still not playing. So I don't know what's wrong with you. And Ben Simmons is out now forever. So I don't know what you're worried about. And you're coming in with this smug attitude. You start talking trash before we even get on the podcast, which people didn't hear about, saying RJ Barrett's not a star.
Well,
you
didn't
say it on the podcast. You say it before.
Alex,
so you want then you get me coming on this podcast already angry.
And
you're acting like I'm angry. You're acting like I'm angry because of the Knicks lost the Hawks. You can ask my wife and her friend that are in the other room right now.
Well, get them in here. Bring them in.
I was watching the game.
Bring them in. Bring them in the room.
Care.
Bring them in the room.
I'm just telling you, I did not care.
Bring your wife in.
Picture.
Bring them in the room.
Don't.
Let's bring them in the room.
Like I'm angry because they lost. You're painting this picture like I'm angry they lost, and I'm not because I don't care. Okay, they lost. They were out of it. It's done. But guess what? I wasn't sitting there screaming, yelling at the TV.
But they're done.
But
that's what I'm
now
saying.
They are. Yes, now they are.
But that's why I wanted the Hawks. I'm just telling you, the Hawks are 2 back. The Knicks are 7 back. I don't.
So if the Hawks play the Wizards, who are you rooting for?
The Wizards.
It's insane, dude. They're insane.
Do you know how standings work? If you want to bring your wife and her friend in, I'm happy to explain standings.
Okay.
I'd love to do it.
Maybe you just put circle blocks and square holes as a kid. I don't know. Maybe
I love circle blocks and square holes. That was one of my favorite things. I would love to do it. No, I'd love to explain it. And what I said before this podcast started was, I just don't think RJ Barrett's a star right now. He's very good. I think he has the potential to be.
What else did you say? What else did you say?
The potential to become a superstar.
No. What else did you say that got me angry? Don't skate around it. What else did you say that got me angry?
I thought it was funny how you were late to record because you were going after it with Mark
I was late to record. It was 10 seconds. Your email didn't come through. I was sitting here at 10 o'clock waiting for your email. So I looked at Twitter and your email didn't come at 10 o'clock. Your email didn't come in at 10 o'clock. So don't act like I was late.
It was obvious to me watching that game. The difference between a star and a non-star. So your idea. So 28-13 when he's by himself, right? 28-13 when he's by himself means he's not a star because he lost to a better team, right? So you're telling me he's not a star. So stars never lose games. Stars never miss shots in the clutch. Stars never lose to better teams. That's what you're telling me. That's your basis of what is a star and what's not. At 21 years old, stars never lose games. He can become a star. I think he can become a star. I think RJ Barrett is going to be a star.
Now,
I don't think he is one now.
Okay.
That's all. I think a star doesn't have that kind of ending. I think he is. I think he has the potential to be one. I don't think he is one right now.
Oh, okay. So Kevin Durant never missed big shots down the stretch, never missed big free throws, never missed any big shot. Kyrie never missed a big shot in his life, never missed a big free throw, never in his life. That he wasn't a star yet. Even when he was already a star, if he missed those shots, then you have to take him. He's not a star anymore until he makes those shots. Then he's a star.
I think at 30 and 42, you can't, if your team's that bad, it doesn't even matter. I mean, they're 12 under 500. It's hard to say it's hard to quantify you're a star when you're like, to me,
when you're 21 years old, and you're ascending and you're coming into your own, you can't act like that the record defines who he is. When Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook were coming up with the Thunder, they were not winning a lot of games, but we knew they were stars.
No,
we knew they were stars. We knew they were stars. We knew they were stars. When they were coming up and they lost that first round playoff series to the Lakers, we knew the Thunder had stars. The Knicks lost last year in the first round of the playoffs. RJ Barrett was the second best player on that team. You can't take that away from him like you did before the podcast started. You're saying they don't win. They're not winning games. They're not winning games. That's what they won last year. They won games last year. You can act like that didn't happen. You can act like he didn't have anything to do with that last year, but he did. Without him last year, they're not that good. without him last year?
Last year they didn't win games. I don't think he's the big culprit of their last season's success. I think if I'm a Knicks fan, I'm excited because he is becoming a star, but he's not one yet. I mean, he is. I mean, that's clear. I mean, it's clear as day. He's just not there yet.
You know how many points he averaged last year? How many points did he average last year, Mike?
15.6, I'll guess.
17.6.
Okay, and this
so you're wrong. So you don't even know what you're talking about.
This year, 19.
This year he's gonna crack 20. 19.6 right now, but he just dropped 28. So he's obviously 19.8 or so.
He also took 24 shots and went 9 for 25.
So what?
That's a big. I mean, yeah.
Isn't a star supposed to take the most shots on the team?
You've always talked about you could.
How many shots is he supposed to take? What's the amount of shots that a star is supposed to take?
Alex,
no, tell me the amount of shots. Tell me the amount of shots.
Very angry.
Tell me the amount of shots he's supposed to take. Tell me. Because you're making up these fucking fake statements about stars and what they're supposed to be, what they're not supposed to be, but you're not backing them up with any statements. You're just trying to get under my skin.
No,
and it's working.
No.
So congrats.
I'm not under your skin. Okay. You're just explaining stats. I'm just telling you.
I'm explaining stats.
He didn't.
You told me a star is not supposed to take that many shots. You're telling me that
a star is supposed.
How many shots
games.
is supposed to take? How many shots is supposed to take?
A star wins.
Is LeBron a star? Is LeBron a star?
Win games.
Is LeBron a star?
He has 4 titles. Yes.
But is he a star right now?
Yes.
They're not winning games.
Alex, he has 4 championships. So you don't think LeBron James is a star?
So I'm just repeating your definition of a star.
I would disagree.
If this year he's not a star, LeBron's not a star this year. Because you're telling me they're not winning any games. Anthony Davis isn't a star anymore. No, Mike Biseglia's definition, they're not stars anymore.
I would disagree because LeBron has 4 championships.
Obviously, but I'm just using your logic. It's your warp logic. Don't disagree with your own logic, dude. I'm just giving you your logic right back.
Alex, I'm not going to yell at you. I think LeBron James is a star. Just because, hey,
I'm not saying LeBron James isn't a star. Don't put words on it. I'm not saying RJ Barrett is a star. LeBron James isn't a star. All you're doing is putting words in this. I'm just telling you. I think LeBron's good. I don't know. I think he's pretty good. He's got 4 titles. See, now you're mocking me. Now you're mocking me and acting like I'm saying something that I didn't say.
That's true.
Because I didn't say something that I didn't say that.
It's fun.
I didn't say that.
Well, I'm just telling you, I just don't think RJ right now is a star. And I'm sorry that got under your skin. Is that okay?
You know why? Why did it come up? Why don't you explain to people why it came up?
Because
you agree with Mark Berman's post.
I don't agree with Mark Berman's post. I don't agree with that. I don't agree.
Mark Berman's post, but that's how it started. Agree with that. That's how the conversation started.
But I don't agree with that.
I responded to the tweet because Mark Berman. Let's read it. Because Mark Berman. This is what Mike.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with.
You said you agreed with. That's what you said to me.
You misinterpreted that. I don't agree with that. I agree with I don't think RJ. I think RJ Barrett's a keeper, and then the Knicks should keep him. But I don't think he's a star right now.
You know why the Knicks lost tonight? Do you want to know why the Knicks lost tonight?
They couldn't defend the perimeter against Trae Young. He destroyed.
Okay, they were down 3. Let me give you actual things. What happened in this game? They were down 3, and there was a bullshit call on Burks that they were calling an offensive foul, and then the Hawks hit another 3, and the game was over. Then they were down 6. And that was it. They had a shot there. And that was it. Oh yeah, no, I know. That's right. LeBron never loses.
He's got 4 titles.
Kevin Durant never loses. Kevin Durant didn't shoot an air ball at the end of the game last year in the playoffs. He's
got 2 championships.
Right? That's all right. He can't do it by himself.
Alex,
he can't do it by himself.
I'm
just giving you your logic. He's not a star anymore. Kevin Durant's not a star anymore. He's played 90 games in 3 years. He's not a star anymore.
Alex,
he's just not. And Mike Biseglia's warp logic. It's not a star. He's not a star.
It's cute you're making that comparison though for RJ Barrett.
I'm just telling you, he's not a star. He's not a star.
You don't think Durant's a star? Why?
I'm just saying because I'm using your definition.
But Durant had 49 in that game and did everything. The Knicks are playing a bad Hawks team and couldn't win at home. And
RJ Barrett had 46 on the Heat, and they lost. Is he a star?
I told you no. I don't think you can score.
So if he had 46 on the Heat, and they lost, Alex, that's not a star. Alex, but Durant has scored whatever amount, and they win and they lose. That's okay. That's okay, right?
I think because he has 2 championships
shorthanded
and got the playoffs.
Yeah,
I don't think he's a star.
Now it all changes, because now you go to championships, things that happened before he was on the Nets.
Alex,
so now you just go back to other things.
He's a good player and he's getting better. He's not a star. He's not a star.
But he is.
Okay,
that's fine.
I mean, if in your world he's a star,
you want to read Mark Berman's tweet that you agree with? You're gonna act like you didn't. You're gonna act like you didn't. Because that's what I was responding to. This is what Mark Berman's tweet was today.
You're getting
the Knicks got absolutely nothing from RJ Barrett down the stretch during the collapse versus the Hawks. 117-111. But he did roar down lane unguarded for last second dunk. There are the games that Knicks brass must evaluate when deciding on this Barrett contract extension in October. It's the most asinine tweet that I've ever seen.
I don't agree with that.
The Knicks are not basing their contract extension
I never said I agree with that.
This game against the Hawks.
You're not listening, and you're so angry about what I'm saying. I'm telling you.
That's what you said.
Alex.
That's what you said.
Alex.
But that's what you
said. Alex. Listen to me.
That's why I told you to record before, because I knew you were going to do this.
Alex, if you misinterpreted that, I didn't
misinterpret anything.
Alex, I don't think he's a star right now. I think he is a great piece for the Knicks, and I think he's going to be a tremendous player and has the potential to be a great NBA player. And I think the Knicks should re-sign him.
Okay.
But I don't think he's a star right now. I think stars are different. You and I have a different view of what stars are. I'm sorry. But I don't agree with Mark Berman. Stop it. I don't agree with that. I don't. I don't agree with that. When you came in, you were a minute late, and I was like, I think you should be here right now. You're messing with Mark Berman. And Mark Berman's a trigger, and that's on me because I did that. But I don't agree with that. That's crazy. You know me. I don't agree with that. You think I believe that? No, I don't. But I don't think he's a star right now. My eyes don't tell me he's a star right now. I'm sorry. Stars don't go 30 and 42. They just don't.
Okay.
We could go on the Nets issues. They got a ton. And
I'm not going on the Nets issues. It has nothing to do with the Nets.
You said
it has nothing to do with the Nets.
You started
nothing to do with the Nets.
No, I agree with that. But when you came on the episode,
doesn't have anything to do with the Nets.
You came on the episode and you're like, you're talking all this shit with all the Nets issues. There's nobody that is more worried about the Nets.
That's not what I was
than I am.
I was saying
Kyrie's
that you
part-time, and Ben Simmons is never playing.
Like, just talk over me and just get your points out and say what you got to say. And that's
you spent the last 10 minutes talking over me. I'll go back and I'll time it. I didn't get anything. Then
go ahead. Do it.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I agree with that.
Right. You got no points in. You got no points in now. Just like you didn't say RJ Barrett wasn't a star.
I don't think he's a star right now.
Before. Yeah. Like you didn't say you agreed with Berman before the podcast.
I don't. I never.
That's what I meant to say.
Alex.
That's what you did. That's what got me angry. And I said, yeah, he had 28 and 13 by himself.
Alex, I don't
28 and 13. And that's not good enough because he took too many shots. That's your logic.
It wasn't good enough.
That's your logic.
It wasn't good enough. If it was good enough, they would have won.
Okay. So when the Thunder lost to the Heat, when Durant, Harden, and Westbrook were coming up, they weren't stars.
Not at that point. I mean,
oh my
if
God,
you were Alex, you're going to toe with three guys that made the NBA Finals over the Knicks that suck. I mean,
they didn't make the NBA Finals yet when they lost to the Lakers in the first round.
Well, when they beat you just said the Heat.
I'm talking about the Thunder when they lost to the Lakers in the first round. When Durant, Harden, and Westbrook were coming up before they got to the finals.
Dude, if
they lost in the first round, did you think that there were stars then?
If you
I didn't say I think the Knicks have that. Don't put words in my mouth again. I don't think you're putting words in my mouth.
I don't think RJ Barrett
words in my mouth.
I don't think RJ Barrett. I don't think RJ Barrett's as good as those three. No, but that's I don't. I don't think.
I didn't say he was. I didn't say he was going to be Kevin Durant. Don't put words in my mouth. Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say he was good as Kevin Durant.
I'm putting words in my mouth.
I'm saying star. I'm saying star. I'm saying.
I don't think he's good as Durant.
I'm not saying.
I don't.
I'm not ranking him next to anybody. I'm just saying star. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Westbrook. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Harden. I'm not saying he's going to be as Durant. That'd be stupid. I'm saying
it would be, yes. Yeah, it'd be really stupid.
And I didn't say that because you want to put words in my mouth because you can't keep up with this conversation.
I can't.
So that's what you want to do.
No,
because I'm just regurgitating your logic and then you don't like it. So then you try to mock it and then you smile and you act like, oh, yeah, see, I got you. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Episode 109. This is fun. I don't think we don't
actually hate each other, everybody.
I know I do hate you. I don't think RJ Barrett will be as good as Durant.
Thanks.
Would love to hear why you disagree.
Yeah, see, that's what you do. That's what you do. You're just trolling now. Are we gonna have a real conversation, or do you want to troll?
I asked you a question. Are you
gonna have a real conversation? You want to troll? If you want to have a real conversation,
I'm trying.
Come on, Mike.
Best.
I'm not gonna dignify that stupid question with an answer. That's what I'm gonna do because that's just a stupid question.
Yeah. Well,
would you trade? Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
No.
Would you trade Karis LeVert and what's his name? I can't even think.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Karis LeVert and Jared Allen for Andre Drummond.
Would I trade Karis LeVert and who was the other guy again? I forgot he said.
And Jared Allen for Andre Drummond and a bunch of first round picks for Andre Drummond.
Would I trade Karis LeVert?
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. You can't be like casual about Ben Simmons anymore.
No,
because now he's out with a herniated disc, and now he's not coming back. And now that trade was a mess, The Harden trade was a mess.
Well,
you can't tell me that Sean Marks is playing the long game. If he traded for an injured player, that's a bad trade, dude. It's a bad trade. You can't trade for an injured player, knowingly trade for an injured player and act like it's a stroke of genius.
Well, here's my answer, Alex. And you know what's going to be amazing about when I answer this? You're going to go, you have a good point. You're right.
Maybe.
No, it's a definitely. Would I trade Karis LeVert and Jared Allen for James Harden? Absolutely. Did it work out? No.
Of course you would.
It did not. Would I trade this situation for Ben Simmons, 2 first-round draft picks, Seth Curry, and Andre Drummond based on the situation of how bad it went? Yeah. So would I say dignify and say
crazy? Of
course I wouldn't trade that. But based on where it went and how it was going, yes, I would.
That's crazy. But I think you're just looking at it through Nets fan goggles, and you're just trying to make yourself feel better about the Ben Simmons trade. That's a complete disaster right now. It's a disaster. The guy can't get on the floor, and now all of a sudden he's hurt. He hasn't even practiced fully. He hasn't done anything. He's sitting there wearing a nice chain with a kangaroo, and he's not doing anything. And you trade James Harden for that. And Seth Curry's now hurt.
There's 2 things.
And now you have a center. You could have just signed any center.
There's a couple of things you're misrepresenting in here. One, James Harden's not been good for the Sixers. He hasn't played well. He's not the same player. And if people are starting to take notice, this isn't a Mike thing. This isn't a Nets thing. He's not played well. I mean, like,
would you trade James Harden's production for? Would you trade James Harden's production for Ben Simmons' production right now?
Yes, but I said before, Alex, they got.
So there's your answer.
They got on a point where he quit on them that they had to pivot, and I think they got the best deal for what they could. And I told you the best scenario for the Nets is Kyrie, Durant, and Harden are together. That's a no-brainer,
of course.
But if Harden's going to quit on them and they had no choice and they had to make a move and they're going to get Seth Curry and they're going to get Andre Drummond, 2 first-round draft picks, and Ben Simmons back based on the scenario where this guy gave up and didn't want to be here anymore, that's the best package I think they could get. So no, do I think in the long run would have been better with Harden? Yes. But if he quits, if he quits and he gave up and didn't want to be here and he's not the same player, I will go to the grave saying that he is not the same player. And I thought he'll go to the Sixers and he'll get better. I've watched these Sixer games.
Yeah.
They're not.
No, he hasn't looked good. I agree.
He hasn't great. No, he's not great. Yeah. Yes, that's fair. Yeah. No, that I would say based on the situation, they got better on the circumstance. And the truth is, I don't think Kevin Durant's the MVP, but when he's there, the Nets are different. Right,
he can't be the MVP. He hasn't played enough games.
Exactly, but they're 24-12. He gets hurt. They suck. Now they're 6-1, and he's back.
You can argue he's the most valuable player to a franchise. He's definitely the most valuable player to a franchise, but he's not the MVP.
No, but they're 24-12 with him. He gets hurt. He goes out. They're 6-1. They're one Spencer Dinwiddie shot, and it was a loss. But they're a different team with him. That's the truth. And that's why I'll always say this. I don't think Ben Simmons is coming back. And in my mind, I've moved on from him. From this season, at least. He's 25 years old. I don't think a herniated disc is something that's going to keep him out for whatever. But from this season on, I've moved on. And to me, it's just about Kyrie Irving coming back if they have any chance to win the championship. If Kyrie's not there, the Nets are going to be annoying. Okay, they make the playoffs. They'll play the Bucks. They'll play the Heat. They'll win a game or two. They'll be a pain in the ass. They're not good enough. They get Kyrie back. All bets are off, in my opinion. I'm not necessarily.
We all agree there. Yeah. They could be in the conference finals. Easy.
It's an option where they could win games. Yeah. But that's what happens when you have star players.
Yeah. No. And you know what? Ben Simmons, I looked up common causes of herniated discs, right? And you want to know what it is, Mike?
A lot of sex.
Causes. No. Common causes for a slipped or herniated disc are age, being overweight, weight, weak muscles,
cell phones,
and or a sedentary lifestyle, as in not doing shit. So Ben Simmons was not keeping himself in shape. I got to give Kyrie a lot of credit. And I don't like to do that. Got to give Kyrie a lot of credit. He stayed in shape. The guy probably worked out like an animal. He practiced with the Nets. He stayed in shape. There. He was ready to rock. He was out 3/4 of the season. He showed up on the road one day and he crushed it. And he was ready. And he's been healthy. Ben Simmons did not do that. Ben Simmons showed up in sweatpants shorts and sweater shorts, which are weird, and with a cell phone in his pocket in Sixers training camp, and he didn't play basketball since. There's no doubt in my mind. If he did, it was shooting around in his backyard, and that's ridiculous. And the Nets traded for that, and that's what they did, and they're paying him a ton of money to do nothing, which is just something the Nets have been doing, and you're just kind of used to it already. And I get it.
I am.
You're hoping,
Totally
he comes back, and you're hoping next year works. But now you're just kicking the can down the road again. It's another year. You're like, well, it's not going to happen this year. Maybe it'll be next year. And I keep telling you, you got to win this title because it's going to keep getting further away as the years go on. You can't keep saying, well, next year. Well, next year.
Well,
next year. These guys are not young. They're over 30.
To be fair, Alex, you tweeted about Kevin Durant multiple times when he got hurt and said, I hope he can work in his crossover in his wheelchair. And he's been good. So to be also fair,
did I say that? I say that
multiple times? And to be fair,
I don't know if I said that exactly, but I said he can't. I said I didn't want the Knicks to sign a guy who can't walk. I said things like that. I don't know to
be fair, he's really good still. So yeah, I completely.
But he's played 90-something games in 3 years.
I completely agree. Am I disappointed?
And they haven't won a title. They haven't gone past the second round.
It's disappointing. But to say that the window is closed is false. Because
I didn't say that. I said it's closing. It's closing.
But he's still an elite level player. I mean,
and now you have.
I mean, he is.
You don't have a lot of draft picks, and you're relying on Ben Simmons and Kyrie, who can disappear for another reason next year.
The obstacles are there. You don't have to explain it to me. Yeah, they've got their challenges, but with Kevin Durant in the mix,
we agree.
I'm just telling you right now, if the Nets go into training camp, they've got a chance to win the championship. And I'm just being point blank. They do because he's that good. I mean, Kevin Durant.
Well, we got to see what other teams do too. We got to see what other teams do.
Yeah. No, of course. But what other teams do? Like, what are the Heat? Like,
we don't know.
It's just going to be the same. It's going to be the same bullshit. And
right. This is one of those off seasons. I'll defend you there. This is one of those off seasons. You don't see a lot of big movement this off season.
And that's why that's why, you made fun of me in the beginning because you talked about how RJ Barrett hit this game winning shot about the big bad Celtics. But the thing about the big bad
Celtics. Was that before we started recording? I don't even know.
That was during we were recording.
Okay.
The thing about the big bad Celtics that scares me is their two best players were former Nets, technically draft picks, are ascending and getting better in Tatum and Brown. And that's what gets me worried about the Celtics more than any other team. That's why I think Boston's really good. I think Jason Tatum's the second best player in the Eastern Conference behind Kevin Durant. I think he's that goddamn good. I really do. He is awesome. That guy can score.
He is. I think people are just tired of the Celtics. They're tired of the Celtics. The same guys are like, all right, Marcus Smart, whatever.
That guy is a star. Jason Tatum is a superstar.
I think he's a superstar. I think he's a level above a star.
He's getting there. That's the guy that would scare me. So but am I disappointed with all this? Of course I am with the Nets, but the window is not closed. And it's not like are we kicking the can? Yes, but the can's still alive and that can's still fighting. And the Nets next season with Durant playing at this level and Kyrie Irving coming into his prime and then Ben Simmons, of course there's all this shit around it, but you can't tell me the Nets aren't in the mix.
I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that.
It'd
be funny if you keep kicking the can down the road. It'll eventually fall off the end of the earth. Like Kyrie thinks it's flat. So it'll be fun. That's why I was starting to laugh to myself.
Well, then they would be the 90s Knicks, Alex. I mean, what do you want from me? Then that's what this would be.
No, they wouldn't be. They wouldn't be. They wouldn't be the 90s Knicks. They wouldn't be.
They fall flat and don't win a title?
Well, the Knicks got to the finals twice. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals all the time.
Who's saying the Nets aren't?
I'm just saying. You'd say if they didn't win the title.
Who's saying the Nets haven't? But I'm saying the disappointment.
Are the Nets getting to the finals twice over the next 3 years?
Are the
Nets getting to the finals twice over the next 3 years? You think they are?
God bless. I hope they are. And then in 20 years from now, we can have guests on and we can have you on and be like, we could have, 20 years from now when our kids are doing this podcast, they could have me on and be like, oh, let me tell you about the book I wrote about the
Knicks went on a 10-year run.
Fucking Nets.
The Knicks went on a 10-year run. A 10-year
Bruce
run where
Brown
they're winning
doesn't
over
talk
50
to Kevin
games.
Durant anymore.
Yeah. Bruce Brown's writing a book about Kevin Durant, like Charles Oakley. But then, I know. I was trying to explain it for people, and I was laughing. But the 90s Knicks were good for 10 years, dude. 10, 11 years.
Well, the point
have been good for a year. The Nets have had one good year.
Yes, the disappointment though in not winning a title. Those teams you wanted to win a title, and there's disappointment. You still love them. You still love them.
But they had the Knicks had sustained success. The Nets have not had that.
And
the 90s Knicks had sustained success. They did.
Yeah, and the Nets are in the beginning of it. They are.
They're not in the beginning. They're all 33 years old. What are you talking about in the beginning of it? They're at the end of it.
Kyrie Irving's 29. He's 7 years younger than you.
Okay, is Kyrie going to retire tomorrow? How can you count on a guy? How can you count on him?
I say this from
the
bottom of my heart.
It's not about the vaccine. It's from before.
I say this with the bottom of my heart.
On the team before.
I did not agree with Mark Berman's tweet. I swear to God. Okay. You did not understand. I agree with the part of him not being a star right now. That I agree with. Him long term, come on, of course not. You fuckhead. God damn it. That pisses me off. Of course. You think I agree with Mark Berman? I hate Mark Berman. I hate strong. I don't really know. Mark
you dislike his reporting. You dislike his reporting. It's troll. Strong. It's all trolling.
No, I dislike Mark Berman from the beginning because he's so boring on the radio. He was the worst radio guest I've ever heard because his voice sucks. He's just boring on the radio. Man.
As much as I don't like Isola, he's a good radio guest. Yes. As much as I don't like him as a reporter and just in general as how he is as a person, he is kind of entertaining on the radio. Unless especially when Joe Beningo's ripping him apart on the fan that one time. That was one time I was cheering at the radio. I was like, yeah, go Joe. Yeah, I
was sensitive to that stuff, and that's real. I mean, hate him or you're right. I mean, it's good radio.
Yeah. No, it is. Exactly. Berman would just get on and be like, oh, well, we did our thing. And they're looking at guys and on the internet, and Mitchell Robinson's brother liked the tweet. And I'm like, oh my God, shut up, dude.
And I mean,
tell me something I can't figure out on my own. Man. Thank you. So anyway.
Well, the Knicks lost to the Hawks. I got you good though, man. You were riled up.
You got me angry. You did.
You
got me angry before the podcast. I wish everybody could have heard what you said. So you can't lie right now on the podcast. You're lying on the podcast. I kept saying, "Can you hit record?" I'm like, "Can you hit record, Mike?"
I mean, hit record. I mean this. I would never agree with that.
Yeah,
okay. I wouldn't.
That's fine.
And I said I was dirty. I was very dirty.
Yes,
it's just bad things.
It's all good, Mike. Don't worry about it.
No, I won't. Good. I won't.
Yeah. So anyway, how are you?
Fine, man. I'm fine. No, I mean, the Nets got a good win versus who'd they play the last game? Jazz. They beat the shit out of the Jazz. Yeah. Nick Claxton looks good. The Nets have their interest. I mean, the Nets have. I would never, and I think anybody that listens to this podcast would know. I'm not a cocky Nets fan. I'm optimistic.
No, you are not. You are not.
I'm optimistic.
A little smug sometimes. Well. A little smug sometimes. Yeah, you have Kevin Durant, so you have a right to be a little smug.
Yeah, you have a right to be a little Durant smug. Has brought that out of me a little bit. Yes, he definitely has brought that out of me, and I like that he's smug, and I like that he's a dick to the Knicks. I like that. I enjoy that.
It's like playing to the base. Playing to the base.
Yes, and I like. Mm-hmm. He had an interesting on his own podcast. He talked about Evan Fournier, and I thought that was fascinating because. He did he does this thing after he scores around on guys that are smaller than him, and he went on Fournier and he went small.
Oh, that's yeah.
But he talked about why he hates Fournier so much. It's because he respects him so much, and he's the kind of guy that he wants on his team. He's like Fournier's kind of a cocky dick after he makes shots, and he's like, there's something about when Fournier makes a shot, it's so annoying. And I was like, yes, and that's why I was just like, I think Fournier would be a great net. Not that. He feels needs that the Knicks don't have, they just need him to make jumpers. But I thought that resonated back. But to your original point, yeah, I can be smug. Yeah, I hate the Knicks. They get on my nerves. I like seeing them lose, and I'm a Nets fan. And honestly, if we're going to do a podcast together with a Knicks and Nets fan, this is not going to be jelly beans. It's not going to be fucking, rainbows all the time.
People do say we agree too much sometimes.
Yeah, so here we go. We're fucking disagreeing.
Finally, fuck you, Mike.
Yeah, fuck you, Alex. So I'm not doing this with a Net fan. We're gonna, I'm not saying here's my Net fan. What do you think of the Knicks? Well, I think they suck. I'm gonna get under your
That's
skin.
what makes this podcast unique. Yeah, that's what makes this podcast unique. Is that we have both sides.
It's probably bubbling a little bit.
It'll be better. The Knicks sucking this year really hurt because it would have made this year so much more fun if the Knicks were the fifth or sixth seed this year, and the Nets were the 8th seed. You would be bouncing off the walls.
Yeah,
you would be going. The Nets had that long losing streak, and the Knicks were just chilling at 500. Right. A little over, and like the 6th seed, or you would be going nuts.
Right? If they were exactly. If they were
last year, this year,
if they were the Raptors or something.
Yeah, like just like a good team, you would be going nuts.
Yeah.
And it just sucks, man. I don't know. It's well, go ahead. Well, you go, and I'll go into like Julius Randle stuff. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say the interesting part about it though is that it does come down to the playoffs, and ultimately that's what I'll remember. Well, that's not true. I'll remember a lot of things from this year, but
this year is crazy.
If the Nets go into, I mean, that's the wild card about the Nets, man, is they really could lose in the play-in or win a championship.
I still think Durant will get you one. Durant will get you one in the play-in. He'll by himself. He'll drop like 70.
It would be
and win a game by himself or something.
It would be hard to see that. Now, like, do you see the Nets? Let's say, for example, they become the 7 seed, and let's say they become the Celtics. Legit. Let's say the Nets play the Celtics first round, and Kyrie's only available for road games. What do you think happens? Like Celtics in 6?
The Celtics probably do win the series, man, and that's like
with
not
part-time Kyrie.
It's one of those things where it's such a weird situation. Let's say the mandate doesn't get lifted. If the Nets lose any away game, the moment they lose an away game, the Nets are going to feel defeated. They're going to feel mentally shot. That's it. It'll be over.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And I was going to agree with that because usually you're like, let's go steal one on the road.
Right.
They're going to have to steal both to feel good. Like, you need to take Kyrie and go in and win both. And the part that makes it strange, and Kyrie's been great for the Nets. You know where he doesn't play well? In Boston. He has not played well in Boston. He has not. And he's been phenomenal everywhere else. But legit, from watching 17 of his games the last 3 years, when he
dodged them the first year. He dodged them the first year.
He doesn't play well in Boston.
He quote unquote hurt. The whole first year was on the Nets. He dodged the Nets. He dodged the Celtics. Didn't he? He was out for whatever reason every time they played.
I don't remember.
Maybe I'm wrong. But I had a feeling he didn't play for like,
Well, that was 2 points of that. That was the weird year with the pandemic. So it got cut in half.
But it was before the pandemic.
He didn't play in those games. After that, though, he was hurt. He was hurt.
The first game was the Sage game, right? Where he did the Sage.
No, that was the year after. That was the year after.
No, but that was the first game. I think he was in Boston, right?
Yes, that was the first game. There was no fans there. There was no fans there yet.
Oh, there was no fans. Okay.
That was when they played. There was
different.
No fans. I would say I think there's a mental hurdle with him there in Boston. So I think that's like, I would say of all the teams I don't want the Nets to see in the first round, I would put the Bucks 1, the Celtics 2, the Heat 3, the Sixers 4, and then whatever.
Honestly, one thing that nobody's talking about in the NBA, and I mentioned it recently on the podcast, the Phoenix Suns are winning the championship.
I hope not.
The Phoenix Suns they're a locomotive, and nobody's talking about that. They were in the finals last year. They brought that like the same exact team. Great coach, Monty Williams, ex-Knick draft pick, by the way. And
coach of the year last year. Sorry, Knick fans.
Coach of the year.
Disappointed in that. See, I'm smug.
And listen, the Suns are if they stay healthy, Chris Paul stays healthy, and they go into they're gonna win the title. I can't see them losing again. And Chris Paul is gonna be on a mission. He's probably just like, I'll be ready. Like, you know what I mean? And it's nobody's talking about them. They're by far the best team in the NBA record wise right now. By far.
I wouldn't say it's a lock for them to win the title. I think they're in the mix of that component. I think the West is clearly not as good, right? Like the Grizzlies are the 2 seed, but how much faith do you have in Memphis to beat Phoenix with that experience? It would be tough to feel that way. Like you'd feel more comfortable with Golden State based on Curry and Clay and just everything they've done in the past. But
now with Steph hurt, Steph is hurt now.
Steph hurt changes everything. So I think the West takes the knockdown. But like if let's say the Bucks get back in there, I think my opinion would be the Bucks flip a coin. What happens?
But the Suns literally can win over 65 games this year. Literally, they're 58-14, 10 games left. They literally can win 65 games.
I wouldn't call them a lock.
It's just, I guess we really seen that? Well, I guess the Pistons. Well, they would lose in the finals. They came back and won. Didn't the Pistons do it with Isaiah? Maybe I'm wrong, but like they would lose in the finals and come back the next year and win. I know the Royals did that in baseball. We all know that well with the Mets.
Yeah,
I came back in 2015.
Did Detroit make it? I mean,
I feel like they lost once. Oh, I gotta look it up.
I don't know if they overcame. Well, there had to be a situation. Their issue was overcoming the Celtics, and then they finally overcame the Celtics, I believe.
And lost to the Lakers,
finals, and then, or did they lose to the Lakers in the finals?
they beat the Lakers in the finals their first time there. Yeah, so
they had issues with the Celtics.
Oh wait, no, I'm looking at 03. I'm sorry, that was stupid. It was
that year they
1990. Yeah. So that was right. So they lost to the Lakers in 88, and then they beat the Lakers in 89, and they beat the Blazers in 90, and then the Blazers lost 2 years later to the Bulls. Wow, the Blazers lost 2 finals. That sucks in 3 years. That's crazy, man. The Lakers like really dominating the NBA. It's so crazy. Yeah. You look at the 80s, they were in the finals in 80, 82, 83, 84, 85, 87, 88, 89, 91. And then when Magic Johnson got HIV, they fell off a cliff. Which like obviously why, and they won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 titles from 1980 to 91. That's insane. Like, can I get that wrong? Can I once in my life, they've had that several times in their history, runs like that, that's all we're looking for. I just want one title. Just give me one stinking title in my life and one of my teams, please. It's insane. That's just insane. So anyway, Julius Randle, right? Julius Randle plays the Jazz on, what was that, Friday? Today's Monday, right? Or Tuesday? Sunday, right? Sunday. All the days are meshed together now, whatever.
But
whatever it was. The other day.
Game, the fourth, the Jazz took, no, it was Sunday because the Nets beat Utah on the Monday, which was on the back-to-back. So it was Sunday.
Right. There you go. And Rudy Gobert was dominating Julius Randle down low. Everybody was scared of Rudy Gobert. RJ Barrett didn't want to go up on Rudy Gobert. Everybody was like driving the lane and stopping on a dime and kicking it out or trying to do some crazy floater. And Rudy Gobert, he gets under people's skins. And he's like such a nice guy. When he gets under people's skins, he doesn't fight. Like he just kind of like hits you and then just like, oh, sorry, man. Like, it's just like something like that is just more irritating than like being just an asshole. Like,
Nick Claxton dominated him Monday night, by the way.
Yeah. Well, he was probably tired. No, I'm kidding. No, he did. He played well. No, Claxton's really good. I like Claxton. I'm not going to shit on Claxton at all. But anyway, so Rudy Gobert is getting under his skin and they get into it a few times throughout the game. And at the end of the game's over and they're dribbling at the clock and Randle bumps into Rudy Gobert and Rudy Gobert kind of taps him. He goes, "Hey man," I'm like one of those like, "Hey man, I'm sorry, let's dap it up and go on." It was just, heat of the moment. And Randle just gets mad and walks away. And then like 10 people, like both teams come in the middle of it, a bunch of guys in suits, and Randle starts pushing guys in suits out of the way. Now he's all tough. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, get in the locker room, man. And then all of a sudden he's fined. And then now he's out today with right quadricep tendon strain. You know what I mean? It just sounds very, it's like almost too specific for it to be real. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he's out his sore right knee. You're just like, all right, well, his knee hurts. You know what I mean? That sounds right. But like a sore right quadricep tendon, you're just like, come on, dude. Like, you're fine. And then he got fined again because he did something. What was it, $50,000 or something? I don't know what the fine was. So people are speculating that it was a secret team suspension. I think he definitely got sent home, or he didn't want to play the Hawks. And one of those like Kobe Bryant moments, like rest in peace, that one game. Remember, he didn't want to shoot. Like, you can't win without me. Remember, he shot like 3 times in the game or something. Like one time, there's some kind of story like that. Like, trust me, you need me, motherfuckers. Like one of those kind of situations. And that's his idol. So that's why I brought him up. So, and his mentor. But I do think that there's something there where he's just done here, man. There's 10 games left. Just send the guy home. I thought in February they sent him home when after that moment in Miami where he kicked him out, when he was just booing him and he didn't say anything below the belt, according to everybody that was around there. And he was on him the whole game. Fans DM me and said, no, he was taunting Randle, but it was nothing below the belt. You know what I mean? And you get that guy kicked out and then you shove a laptop in an assistant coach's face. Like, come on, dude. And then every time out, fans are taking pictures of him or reporters. He is not engaged and he's just perpetually angry. Like, he'll dunk. There was a game, I forgot who they played with. It might have been the Kings. He dunked it on somebody. I don't know. It was a team with like, they weren't good. And maybe it was the Pistons. I don't know, whatever. He dunked it on somebody. I don't remember the guy's name. It was like a nobody. And he facial, angry, like not even happy. Just like, what the fuck? Well, shit, fuck, shit, fuck. Like, what are you so mad about, dude? Like, you just like pump your fist or something. You know what I mean? Like get this guy out of here. And you can just see it on everybody's face. Like during that scuffle with Gobert on Sunday, everybody's like, dude, like enough of this fucking guy. You see Fournier's face, like, oh my God, again, dude. Like, if you're going to do something, dude. You know what I mean? I'm not one to call somebody out. You know what I mean? But like, stop with this shit, man. If you want to fight Gobert, go fight Gobert. Like, don't tap him on the back and then like talk shit as you're walking away and then shove a bunch of guys half your size. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, there's
just get out of here.
It's weird with him too, because I think when he was on the road and the Knicks went on that West Coast trip, you could see he got comfortable and he played his best spurts of the season for the team on the West Coast trip when he was away from the Garden for the 7 games. What did that, whatever that was, 2 weeks plus.
The West Coast.
That was his stint. There's something about him in New York. It's just not working. And it's coming to an end. Now, does that mean can you pack him up for 10 games? I think that's extreme because I just don't think you could fake that for a while, but it's clear as day. His time in New York is done. Now, what they get for him, that's a whole different conversation. What's a team willing to give up? I don't think much at this point, because a team that could use him as a title contender, but they're not going to give up, what are the Knicks going to get in return? The Knicks want young players. I don't know, whatever that is, but I think it's pretty clear. I mean, his time with the Knicks has ended. And it's weird too, because he was great on that West Coast trip. He was great. But as a Net fan and seeing these Net Knick games, I always said to myself, like, after Net Knick games, and there were some controversial games,
right.
Throw
the Kyrie
chairs,
play.
He would throw chairs. And I was just like, man, everything is always like a temper tantrum with him. And Knick fans would be like, oh, there were bad calls. I get it. And I put myself in a Knick fan's shoes and I said, yeah, I could see that, like, being frustrated. Right. But now I'm like thinking of, I'm using that as a backdrop to all this other stuff. And I'm going, he just isn't mature enough to handle big spots.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I mean, he did hit a lot of big shots last year. He really did. And I don't know what it is. I mean, it's just something has changed. And I really do think, I forgot about Cooney's brought back this quote. Our boy Cooney's that follows the show. Shout out to him. He, one of our listeners and friends, he brought back a quote from the Woj pod from 2 years ago. I always reference on the show, where Randall went to some restaurant with Worldwide West, Leon Rose, before they took over and made the power play to take over the Knicks to, pitched it to Dolan. He said, I need a coach in here. This was after his first season, Randall's first season. He's like, I need a coach in here that's going to hold me accountable. And I think last year, Thibs held Randall accountable and got him in his place and got him motivated. And Randall was motivated by that contract to get the contract. And he was motivated by Thibs. And then this year, he's got the money, had the second kid, which makes you a little more tired. Like, let's be fair. He's a person. And, you understand that. And they're losing. And Thibs defers to him too much. There have been times and in games, and these are like random Tuesday night MSG games, only Knicks fans are watching. It's like the Blazers or something. That was probably the team, actually, where he dunked on a guy, by the way. There's Randall comes out of the game and he's about to come out of the game and he tells Thibs, no, I'm not coming out. And then they take out Jericho Sims. Like, no, I'm not coming out of the game. No, I'm coming in the game. I'm coming. Like, he runs the team. And there's got to be a little jealousy there from the other players, where you see Obi Toppin will dunk it on somebody and hit a 3. And then if he gives up one defensive play, he sits on the bench for the rest of the year. Or Mitchell Robinson picks up two early fouls in Sacramento and you never see him again. He leaves the arena and they act like he's sick, and then plays the next game and dominates like he's fine, So there's something there with Thibs, and that's why Thibs has to go, man. People say he's lost a team. I really do think he has. And people are like, well, the players are playing for him. No, these young players are playing for their careers. They're not playing for the 64-year-old coach that is playing overpriced vets. They're playing for themselves. Quickly's playing for his life. Toppin's playing for his life. Burks is playing for his next contract, and he's older. You know what I mean? These guys aren't playing for Thibs. Like, Taj Gibson is playing for Thibs. You know what I mean? And but they're not playing for Thibs. They're playing for themselves. You think Jericho Sims is going out there like, oh man, I really got to impress Thibs?
No, they don't care. They don't care.
They're not. He's not practicing what he's preaching. He's not rewarding good play.
This is a very Thibs. It's the same thing with Thibs wherever he goes. The Knicks, it's just happening faster. He comes in there, the team gets better. There's development, you're feeling good, and then shit goes bad. I mean, this happens everywhere. Like Chicago, it was, and everywhere he's going, it's getting quicker. So when he went to Chicago, the Bulls they weren't a championship team, but they were like, I'll call them the second round team. Like the Bulls were the second round team. Then he goes to Minnesota. They make the playoffs, but they never really did anything impactful. Then he goes to the Knicks. they make the playoffs the first year, and now things have just gone off the rails, and it's kind of fast. But it's like wherever he goes, for whatever reason, things always start off hot and feel good, and then by the end of it, you're like, what happened? Like, why was I in love with you?
The Rose injury with the Bulls is not his fault, though. That whole team got ruined by Rose's knee injuries, and that they got screwed by that. And he did develop Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler is cut from a different cloth. He's the kind of guy that, you know, he can take.
He's a winner.
You know, yeah, he is.
Jimmy Butler.
He's a star.
Yeah, he's a star. He's a star. I'll give you that. He's a star, man.
Yeah. No, all right. Well, you want to do the poll question? We don't have any jersey number trivia this week.
No jersey. What happened today? Dolan couldn't figure it out.
I don't know. It was too much for him. He's too busy.
That's fine. I like Dolan. I'll say this because I feel bad because I always give Dolan shit on this podcast, and Dolan J. Trump. Donald,
yes.
Whatever. Not the
Donald
president.
Dolan. Yes.
And I always say like because he was a former Net fan and now he's a Knicks fan, but he both are true. He loved the Nets. He hates them now, and he loves the Knicks. So, as much shit as I give him, he does come up with great trivia questions, and he does have some great merchandise. So check it out. I had a DM session with him today, and I won't repeat what it was because it was private. But he got mad at me, and I don't know if he was like sincerely mad at me or if I pushed the boundary. I don't know, and it's bothering
You're good at
me.
that. You're good at that. You're good at pushing buttons.
No, I'm not.
But I don't think that was. You showed me, and sorry if I wasn't supposed to say that, but you showed me the screenshot of it.
Now. Well, I wanted to ask you because
I don't think you said anything bad.
Did I push it or because to me I showed him that I was like, I thought it was red meat for what he does, and I thought he would like it to come up. Not that anything I said was like crazy, but I'm like, this is in his wheelhouse of his account.
You want me to give him? I'll give him credit too. He had a good tweet because down the stretch, Tom Thibodeau went heavy Taj Gibson and benched Obi Toppin. And that's another reason why they lost. So, and this was his funny tweet. He goes, "These would have been very good minutes for Obi Toppin, but developing Taj is more important for our wonderful franchise's future." That's so it was a good one.
Very good.
It was a good one.
No, it was good.
Shout out to Steve Cohen at the Knicks game today with his wife. That was cool.
I think that was his daughter.
Was his daughter Sophia? Oh yeah, that's his daughter. I didn't even see. I just saw he was there with a woman. I didn't like look who it was.
I did.
I just assumed this is his wife. Let's see. Where is my? Here we go. Poll question at Knicks Central. Knicks fans, do you think the Knicks should sit Julius Randle for the remainder of the season? I bet you can guess how this one went.
Yes. I don't think they should. I don't think they should because I said like should they trade him? I just don't think. I don't think you can sit him for. Here's what's going to happen. I mean, I'm being real. Like the Knicks are going to become irrelevant nationally. Not that they're going to play in games and it won't matter.
Play out the string.
I think he just has to play because I think if him sitting for 9 games is worse than anything he can do on the court. Unless he goes on the court and takes his pants off and is running around. Like that's not going to happen. I just think him going on there, the Knicks go 4-6, 5-5, 6-4, whatever. And he just does Julius Randle stuff and it's irrelevant. I think that 5-5 spurt, 6-4 spurt, 4-6 spurt with him on the court and just being like 20-10-ish is better than him sitting for 10 games and causing more of a Julius Randle has a blank injury. It's fake. And that to me is worse than whatever performance that he'll put on the court that won't be great, but it'll be somewhere in the middle.
Right. So I understand that. I don't know. I thought they should have sent him home a while ago. Even though like it's been clear he's checked out. It's been clear the players don't like him. It's been clear. I get you.
This. I get you from your perspective.
I get he's
being done with it. I get that.
It's like Keyshawn. You guys like with the Bucks. Sometimes you just got to Keyshawn him. Like with Marbury with the Knicks. Sometimes you just got to send the guy home. It's that bad. Yes, statistically he's putting up numbers, but he's not good for the team. And yeah, I defended him for a long time. But at some point, I realized like this is just fucked. This is not him. This is not the guy he was. Something has changed. And he's just always mad. And you can see that he ruined RJ Barrett's moment. That game where he hit the game winner over the Celtics. That was supposed to be RJ Barrett's night. On national TV, he beats the Celtics. Crazy shot. Like, yeah, it was a little bit of luck off the backboard, but he made the play. And what happens in that game? The thumbs down moment after the game, instead of just acting like, no, I don't know what you're talking about and playing it off. He actually explains what happened, like what he was thinking. Like his logic is everybody's gonna like, oh yeah, you know what? Oh, you have a good point. And like I defended that because I'm, you know what? You were trashing him. You know what I mean? But
who's had a more?
And that was when he came back from COVID and people were celebrating getting COVID. And that's why he was angry. And like, I got it, but be a professional, bro, and hold that shit in. Like, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's interesting. That was the same. I knew that was the same game, but I kind of forgot because to me, that's the Knicks. The Knicks season ended the night he made that shot.
It's very good point. Weird. Very possible. Yeah.
Because they won a win. Who's had a more disappointing year, Nets or Knicks? Now, the Knicks book is closed. The Nets book is still open. But who's had a more disappointing year? Even if the Nets
because the Nets could still win a championship. Like you can paint the picture right now that the Nets could still win a championship. I don't think it's going to happen. It's not likely, but they could. Like, you know what I'm saying? And we're still here with 10 years left. Like they can go on a run. Kyrie, the mandate could be lifted on Thursday, like Boomer says. And Boomer Esiason said today on WFAN that the mandate may be lifted on Thursday. And yeah, Mets and Yankees got to play baseball, of course. And Mayor Adams said no, but whatever. It could happen at any time. Kyrie can come back. Ben Simmons could be healthy for the playoffs. And even if he's not, if it's Kyrie and Durant and Seth Curry gets healthy and Drummond's there, and you know what? The Nets can go on a run. It's a couple injuries. One guy goes down and look at you. You're in the finals. And then what happens? Then you play the Suns and see what happens, And even if you just get to the finals, it's not a successful season because you thought you'd win a title.
But
after everything that happened this year, if you get to the finals and lose, you'll be upset, but you'll look back like, you know what? We accomplished.
Let's go next year.
Yeah. Exactly. What can we do next year when Simmons is back?
You think this? I mean, like Boomer says that on the Fan in the morning. This is on Tuesday. It's like for Net fans, you're looking for anything to kind of jump on. So like you get any kind of positive news. And Boomer Esiason is, MVP quarterback, credible morning show host. He's not a news source.
Connected in New York. He's connected in New York.
Connected in New York. He is on the record as saying he is a conservative who has values that line up with the thinking. So you hear this, right? And you sink your teeth into it. And it's like, just kind of breaking down his comment, if we're going to go with this.
Yeah.
If he says there's a source that tells him this, I had Net fans tweeting me like he's just trolling the Nets. He's not going to do that because that's his credibility. He doesn't like the Nets. He's on the record as saying that, but his credibility is most important to him out of anything. So who is the person saying that? And then why would that person say something that's bad news? What would change? I'm like trying to, in my head, like break down what happened there. So do you think, and then the mayor comes out hours later and says, no, like
shits on
that source bullshit. Did he get a bad source? Is he fucking with people? It's just a weird. I don't think he's fucking with people, but what happened there? It's just fascinating.
I don't know, but it's also Boomer lost a lot of credibility with that Aaron Rodgers situation. With that, he got a fake number, a prank. He got got. But
you know the whole story with that.
Yeah, it was a fake number, right? Or it was a different radio. It was a radio station or something.
It was a fake number, but what happened there was, and I'll defend Boomer here, was the way that what's it called? What's that place? Something
Barstool?
House. No, not Barstool, not as big as Barstool, but one of these places cut the video where it went from what it looked like he was saying to how it was perceived.
Like Funhouse? Funhouse or something?
Yes. It was, he said it was bullshit. And then they had fun like it was real. But the way Funhouse cut it was they took away the middle part and it came off like that. But he's been wrong.
It's like Bullsack Sports, Somebody getting caught by Bullsack.
That wasn't real. Yeah. That wasn't real.
Yeah.
I just, getting back to it, I just can't imagine Boomer Esiason for the fuck of it being like, let's make up some source from the mayor's office telling me this. There has to be some validity to it. There has to be.
It's somebody that he trusts, especially after the Aaron Rodgers situation.
On the radio.
Something had to happen. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I hope so. And with the Mets and Yankees, I'm trying not to think about it. I texted you that earlier. I'm just trying not to think about it until the week of opening day.
It'll come.
And if it's still not lifted, then I'll get a little worried, and we'll see who's not vaccinated and see opening day rosters and see who's like who we worried about and who we're not worried about. Who are we optioning and why we're not optioning these players? Like,
baseball's
kind of
so different though, man.
Yeah.
Like,
you can up and down guys. Yeah.
It's just so like if you're a pitcher, you can figure out not that you could conceivably do this for a whole season,
but like
you can manipulate it better.
Yeah, a bullpen arm can just pitch on the road.
You can make it work better. You can make it work better as opposed to Kyrie
you work
Irving
really hard. Yeah. No, I know Kyrie Irving you need every game, but Kyrie Irving's one guy. You know what I mean? I know he's might be one of the most famous athletes in New York, maybe the most famous athlete in New York, to be fair. And right now. And he still doesn't hold as much weight as the New York Yankees.
The Yankees. I mean, the Yankees are the biggest team in the. I mean, I won't say the world because I don't know soccer and some British. Somebody will be like, "Who loves this podcast." You didn't think of Barcelona, BCD, dick fuck? Like, yes, I'm sorry, but as a part of
David Beckham's team that he used to play on.
American sports, Yankees, Cowboys, Steelers.
We've been
Lakers,
through this. Lakers, whatever. Yeah,
I get it. I love the Nets. I got it. All right.
Anyway, so 78% people said yes that they should send Julius Randle home. 20.7% said no. So there was a lot there. So we have a couple shout outs. James Celestin, he's at Rebirth Chaos 09. Just hit him. We aren't going to the playoffs. I want to see what RJ and the kids can do. I would move Randle this summer. He's a void in this team. Then we have Hugo. He's at the real Hugo, UGO. Yes. Then they should trade him. Then we have, let's see, Radimus at Bulletproof with 2 zeros _LUV, just because he's waiting to implode in some form. So, I mean, I think that means yes. Then we have, let's see. Drew, this point I don't agree with. Drew at _Drew, no, not underscore, at Drew, DREWW _NBA. If there is a legitimate injury, then yeah. But sitting him for no reason impacts his already horrendous trade value. I disagree. There's 10 games left. Everybody's already seen everything with Julius Randle. This isn't 1987. Everybody's seeing everything. Nobody's missing what's happening with the Knicks. If you're in tune, if you're a good executive, you have somebody watching the Knicks, and you can even just follow Twitter and know what's going on with Julius Randle if you really wanted to. You can tomorrow create a Twitter account and follow all Sacramento Kings fans, and within 2 weeks, you know exactly what's going on with the franchise. You know what I mean? So don't tell me that not playing him or playing him is going to affect his trade value. They could have sat him down 2 months ago to have the same value. I still say, depending on where the pick is, I would be open to trading the pick and Julius Randle and getting somebody in here that can help RJ Barrett.
Now, I think for the Knicks too, I like for trade wise, I think a lot has to do with what happens in the playoffs and teams, how things move. I think that could play a big factor. Who needs that kind of player on their team? Like, I don't know who the team is at this point, but a team that needs a rebounding guy that can score, that can shoot, that doesn't have to have the attention. The limelight will be taken off him, a smaller market. I think those things would impact it. So I think there's a lot to tell there. And I think for the Knicks too, they just have to make a move if they can clear the cap space. That'll be hard too, because the cap, I mean, this will be Leon Rose's biggest challenge, is trying to find a team to make that trade. Will be really interesting, because there's just no way Julius Randle comes back to the net. I mean, you can't. You can't do it. You can't do it. And you got to get rid of guys like Derrick Rose, Nerlens Noel. These guys can't play. They can't stay healthy enough. And you just have to get younger. You have to get better. Trade these guys. You said they had tradable contracts. That's why you signed them. So trade them. And he's got a draft. And he's got a draft.
Yeah,
he's got a draft. You can keep Fournier from.
Yeah, you can keep Fournier. If you have to, you can keep Fournier. You can find the role for a guy like that. But I don't care if he's gone. You trade Randle. He's got the contract and the pick. Hopefully it's a good pick. And then you can get a guy like Dame Lillard. You can get a guy, I'm just throwing names out there. If you can get a guy like that, do it. If you can't, then forget it. I know people are probably laughing, but I'm also talking about you maybe give up future picks too if you're getting a guy that's that big of a megastar. The point is to surround RJ Barrett with players that can actually help him win, not just, well, we got this 19-year-old kid. Let's see if he's good in 3 years. You know what I mean? Like that is just, I can't do that again. Unless you get like the top 3 pick and then, okay, like then we'll see. But like,
we didn't talk about Obi tonight, starting in place of, Randall being out, but I texted this to you before as well, just for Obi's sake. And I'm not even talking about for the Knicks fan, but for him to be the 8th pick in the draft and to not get any run in his second year on a team that's not like, okay, you're a playoff contender. You're not going to get minutes because
he's already 24 years old.
Right. Yeah. Like I'll use this as the extreme example, but the Pistons with Darko Milicic, he wasn't playing. Obviously, he was a major bust.
Title team, though. Yeah, they were a title team. Yeah,
but a team that's clearly not, that could use a jolt.
They're not good.
That he could get. I was trying to be nice because I'm over.
No, but they're not.
Part of this.
They're not.
That he's not getting any kind of minutes would be frustrating to me as a player going, I want to at least try. Like, at least let me fail and you can see it. Is just, it's bizarre that it's the, and you could see late in the game when Taj Gibson got minutes, he had no faith. He had no faith in Obi being on there in the.
How was he going to learn, man? How
but exactly. Yeah, like it's like who cares?
Who cares?
Let him be
and
there.
That's the point. That's when you have these lame duck coaches. He's coaching for his life because if the Knicks lose out or if they lose the last 7 of 10, their record is abysmal. And how can you sell bringing Thibs back when you go from 10 games over 500 to 25 under or whatever it is? I don't know the math off the top of my head.
No, you can't.
But like, how do you do that? I don't care what Jake Fisher's report was. Maybe it was a legit report and he got legit sources that said that he was coming back. But like I said, when that report came out last week, things can change still. Yeah. Like if the Knicks lose out and they're that bad and they win under 30 games or 30 games exactly, like how do you keep this guy?
Here's the only way you could keep it. And this is where we'll come full circle on my agreement. If RJ Barrett's like, Leon Rose, I love this guy. He's got to, seriously, I love this guy. He's got to stay. If I have any, if he goes, fuck, I'm gone. Like, it doesn't matter. There's no chance I'm here. Then you go, fuck. Okay. Like, then at least I could see that part of it because it's a players league. And I don't think RJ Barrett's there yet. But to go back again, I do think he can get there. And if he's like, hey, man, if I'm going to,
you're saying stars make decisions on coaches, right? You're saying
I do. And I even think potential stars. I even think potential stars make decisions. If he's going, I don't think this is the case, but that's the only way I could wrap my head around. If everybody's like, if I'm going to stick around here long term, he's got to be here. I don't think that would be the case. I don't know the Knicks as intimately as you, but to me, that would be the only reason I could see it.
The thing is that we don't know what Leon Rose is thinking ever because he doesn't say anything, and that's okay. He doesn't have to say anything really, but he hasn't done much. Like there's no splash move that he's done. Derrick Rose trade, sure,
great trade, but not a splash trade.
But not a splash, and he hasn't made any. He hasn't. Yeah, he's so far been kicking the can on the road, keeping guys, getting Fournier, trying to take a flyer on Kemba, which were good moves at the time, and it just didn't work out. And now this is a big offseason for him. And that's it. And not making any trades at the deadline was a terrible decision. Dump Burks, dump somebody, open up a roster spot for somebody in the rotation to take the spot. But whatever. We can talk about
this. Probably tried. He just couldn't get.
Yeah. Couldn't pull the trigger. But all right. Well, I love you, Mike.
No, you don't. It's fine.
I don't. Okay. I looked away when I said that.
I really mean this. I do not agree with Mark Berman on that stance.
Okay.
I really mean that. I don't think, and we can
see
argue
what Mark
this.
Berman did. What an asshole.
I really think this. Now, I don't think that RJ Barrett's a star right now. I do think he has the potential to be one. I do think the Knicks should re-sign him. Mm-hmm. I think not re-signing him would be a disaster because then the Knicks
are you doing?
Nothing. Yeah. I mean, nothing.
Right. If RJ Barrett's just a borderline all-star for the next 5-7 years, at least you have a piece. You have something here.
Something you can build on. But then you're like, then we're talking about Grimes and Sims, but that's it's so far down the
No.
road you can't even get to that point.
You're winning
And they're
15
late
games
for
a year.
picks.
Yeah.
So and then as far as the Nets are concerned, they're 38-34. They had a good win versus the Jazz. That was a very good win. That was. Thank God the Knicks got them tired, and then Utah probably said, "Fuck it, we play in Utah. Let's see what New York's like." So thank you, New York. And then I'm happy. Not happy he's out, but for the Nets, John Morant's out tomorrow night, which is a plus. There's no way around that. So we'll see what happens.
It is. Yep. Yeah. Interesting next 10 games for the Nets. That's for sure. We'll see what happens.
Yes.
Very interesting.
I ask you this at the end of every episode. I'll continue it.
Yes.
Where do you think the Nets finish this season? The last time you said second round.
I'm going to stick with that because I don't know about Kyrie yet. And Ben Simmons, I think it's safe to say he's Derrick Rose right now. He's done. Like, I think he's going to be done for the year. I think I can't see Ben Simmons playing as of now.
20%.
20% that he plays.
I think it's not impossible, but mentally for me as a Net fan, it's like he's not even on the roster.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I'd say second round just because of Kevin Durant. And I feel like he can win a series. He can win a play-in tournament on his own. But at the same time, we thought Steph Curry could win a play-in tournament game last year, and he didn't. So, we'll see what happens. That's why they play the games, Mike. That's why they play the games.
Battle with the Fans, episode 109. We're dedicating this episode to Mark Berman. That's Mark with a C, I think. Thank you for listening.
C-A-R-C-K.
We're not tagging him, and don't tag him.
Did you ever see that Starbucks meme? Sorry to cut you off. They said it's like I told them Mark with a C, and it's spelled C-A-R-C.
Yeah,
that's like it's a joke. He's like, the person in Starbucks spelled his name wrong. He's like, "What's your name?" He said Mark with a C, and they wrote C-A-R-C on the cup. Anyway,
I like those Starbucks. They're funny.
Yes. All right, go ahead.
All right. Battle with the Fans, episode 109. Find us on YouTube as well. Knicks losers to the Atlanta Hawks tonight. Knicks now 6 games back, a couple games left. Their season probably over. Nets in the 8th seed. We'll see what happens from there. Who the hell knows? A lot of basketball to be played. We appreciate all you guys, Knicks fans, Net fans. Thank you guys for listening. We know it can be a weird listen because, all of the Net take, all of the Knicks takes. Tonight was just one big fuck you fest. So maybe that'll work.
Yes.
That'll work out. Alex.
Mike.
I'll talk to you later.
Have a good night.